Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. Today, we will be finishing up the last course of the three lessons about Yeastar Certified Security Specialist. I'm Ramon from the Yeastar training team. For the last two lessons, we've been talking about how to enhance your configurations and parameters of your S-Series PBX to increase the security of your telephone system. And of course, we've been talking about the security mechanism of the S-Series VoIP PBX, firewall, and auto defense. We have explained how to configure those, how to set up your security mechanism to really avoid fraud calls and DOS attack from the internet. And today we will be finishing up these courses. So thank you so much for joining our webinar. If you are interested in knowing more about our company, you can surely follow us in social media. We're in Twitter, we're in Facebook, we're in LinkedIn. You can follow us to always keep updated about our newest information and new features and new functions. So, and if you are interested to know more about our company and our products, you can always subscribe our YouTube channels. We have weekly renewed videos about our features and functions, including how to configure to realize those functions. And every time when we upgrade our firmware and include new features, we will also upload a very thoroughly detailed video about the new features updated. So if you want to know, please, you can search us on the YouTube Yeastar. You can't miss it. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into the last lesson of Yeastar Certified Specialist Security Specialist courses. All right, now let's get into the web GUI. And well, as we have mentioned in last two lessons, the main reason why a telephone system may get hacked is that people want to make advantage of the resource that you have on your telephone system. That is to say, your trunks and lines, and they hack into your system, register themselves as extensions to make calls, to register as extension to make long distance international phone calls and charge for those calls, and in the end, the owner of the telephone system will be paying paying for the long distance calls, and the hackers will get pure profit by selling those services, making advantage of your own lines and trunks. So we have talked about a few things that we can do to really prevent this kind of issues. So in the first lesson, we have talked about how to prevent the hackers from registered to your PBX as an extension. We have talked about some configurations that we can do to make it more difficult for the hackers to hack into your system. And in the second lesson, we've been talking about firewall settings and auto defense system. Those are the two major security mechanisms with which we can protect our system from being hacked. That is to say, we will deny all the bad intentions or the suspicious actions towards your system, and only allowed trusted IP address or trusted domain to visit your system. So today we will be talking about the last few things that we can do to prevent our system from being hacked. The first thing is to really secure your long distance calls. The thing is, when it comes to long distance phone calls, if the trunks that you already have do not support long distance calls, then you won't be having any problems because because none of the trunks can actually make outbound call, can make long distance calls. Then even though your system got hacked, no actual lost will be generated because with the trunks you have cannot make long distance calls, so that won't be a problem. But from in many cases, you will need this service because your company needs long distance phone calls to contact other countries. So you can run your business. So in many cases, it is necessary. So in these cases, other than the other configurations that we have already been talked about, that is to prevent your system from being hacked, we still have some things that we can do to make sure that even sometimes the hackers get into your system successfully by any chance, but they won't be able to actually make any long distance phone calls because you have really secure your long distance phone calls. So now we will be talking about how can we manage to do this. So normally, if we indeed need long distance phone call services in our telephone system, we will have specific outbound routes specially made for those long distance calls. We have already made a few ones in one in our system. This is a pretty standard way to make international long distance international phone calls. We have talked about how to configure your outbound routes for international phone calls in our webinars for basic level configuration. So now I won't be taking too much time explaining this configuration, but basically you in dial patterns you put in the rules to really limit this outbound routes, especially for international phone calls, basically with the patterns, because all international phone calls should be starting with double zeros. That's the international standard codes. The first two number style should be 00, and therefore to make sure that the calls will go out through outbound routes smoothly, we usually add a prefix before the actual number to let the system know for sure that this is a outbound call. So here we put, in this example, we put in 9. So if any number they want to make outbound calls to a long distance overseas destination, the first 3 numbers they dialed will have to be 9. This is the prefix. 00. This is the long distance call standard code. This is a universal rules, and followed by the country code and distant number. But the 9 is a internal rules for our company, so it shouldn't be included in the actual number that gets sent out. Otherwise, it will be a invalid number. So in script, we're putting 1 to make sure that the system will delete the first number dialed. And so this is the basic rule of how we make international phone calls. And the limitation here will be the extensions that get included, because our suggestion will be only include those extensions who have to make those extensions who have to make long distance calls in their work in this outbound routes. Then other extensions, as you can see here, will be excluded. So if they get hacked, if the hackers get in through those extensions, it won't work at all, because they are unable to make international phone calls. So even though they try to dial the number, they are not included in these rules. The calls will not get sent out. But there is some other things that we can do. Okay, so to really prevent the system from being hacked, we can make illegal international phone call routes. So other extensions that is not allowed to make international phone calls will be, if the hackers get into the system by register to those extensions, will their intention to dial out international phone calls will simply fail, because it will be sent to a invalid trunk. So this is what we're going to do. Firstly, we are going to add a invalid SIP trunk. So okay, so this is our SIP trunk configuration. We click add to register to create a new register trunk. So in the trunk name, it is a invalid trunks. But if we really want to, confuse, because the whole reason that it exists is to really confuse the hackers. So in trunk name, we can actually put in like international. This is a SIP trunk, and we'll name it international. So we'll for anybody who don't know what you are doing here, he will be thinking, okay, this is the trunk you make for international phone calls. Okay, so you have plenty of other extension of the other informations you can you will have to put in, but it doesn't matter. All you need to do is to put in a wrong IP address, wrong domain, and wrong username, wrong password. Everything should be wrong. You need to make sure that this VoIP trunk, though even though exists in your system, cannot be legitimately registered to any service provider. It is just a fake wrong trunk. So just putting anything here, as to make sure it seems real, but in fact, it is not. Okay, so here we're putting a fake IP address. It probably doesn't exist, or you can put in a fake domain if you want to. So in the username and password, you can just put in anything, right? And password, you can just dial anything. It doesn't matter. It won't get registered. Okay, so now we can click save. Now we have a international trunks, but it won't be able to register to any service provider. Okay, now we get back to the call control. In outbound routes, we add another international routes here. International. Okay. In patterns, we put in the same thing. Here we probably want to call it international A. Okay. So in the patterns, we put in the same thing as the actual international calls, and we include this fake SIP trunk here. So this means the fake if anybody wants to make an international phone calls, the included extension, if the included extension tries to make an international phone calls by this dial patterns here, then this call will be sent directly to this fake SIP trunk that is not legit and won't be able to connect to anything at all. So now we can just include all the extensions that we do not allow to make international phone calls. We should include all of those extensions that do not have the authority to make any international phone calls into this table. Okay, and we click save. Okay, now so as you can see here, we have two international phone call rules. One is the real one, the international, and the other one is the international A. This is the fake one. Okay, so if you really want to confuse or mislead the hackers, you can change. You can actually change this name. You can actually change this outbound routes name. And what you need to do here is you want to put the fake rule on the top of the list. Okay, so we can add multiple outbound routes to this list, and the system will match the outbound routes from top down in this list. That means if anybody in your telephone system, any extensions make a outbound call, here they make an outbound call, the system will try to match the dial patterns we have set in each rules, and the order will be from top down. So the system will always try to see if the number dialed by the extension match the first rule. If it matches the first rule, then it will get sent out through the first outbound routes. And in this case, if any of the extensions who is not allowed to make outbound calls actually make a outbound call, here it will be directly sent through this invalid SIP trunk. Then this call will be just failed. So this is the first thing we do to make sure that if your system get hacked, we want to really low down the possibility of any actual harm or loss caused by the hacking issue. So this is the first thing we do here. And the second thing we do here is that we can secure our actual international rules. So here, this is the fake one. Okay, this is the trap. And here at last is the real one. Our suggestion would be you change the name to another name as the administrator. Well, you only to make sure that you yourself know this is a international outbound routes, but the others won't know this. Okay, so here this is the actual outbound routes. But sometimes, if by any chance the hackers has hacked the correct the correct extension that is allowed to make international phone calls, or the hackers successfully hacked into your system as a administrator, they will be messed around with your system. They will know which extension is actually valid, and they will use this extension to register to your you will use this extension to make international phone calls. So in this case, we can still have rules to actually protect your outbound routes. That is by password. Okay, so here we have password. We have two kinds of password: pin list or single pane. So if you choose single pane, you can actually put in a series of pin number here. So that means if those valid extensions try to make an international phone calls, after they dial the number, the system will require them to put in a password. This will be the password that the system required. But only by putting in the correct password can the phone calls be sent out. Otherwise, the phone call will be just denied. So only the owner of those three extensions can know this password. So other people, even a hacker, might not know about this very password. So if even though those extensions get hacked in and being used to make outbound calls, the PIN number can protect this, can prevent them, can prevent any illegal intention to make long distance international phone calls. And here we have pin list. So in pin list, the system will actually use a couple of password. You can actually put a list of password, as you can see here. So any of the any password in this list can be used as international phone calls. So this way, you can have more flexible administration over the password that you have, and well, you can, by checking the CDR, because you can actually record this ping list, record the ping in the CDR. So by checking the CDR, you can know well, which extension actually use the call, actually use the password to make outbound calls. Because well, you can actually give one password to one extension user, and they will only know their own password. Okay, and well, another thing that you can do here is by time condition. So with international phone calls, you can actually limit the time condition. So that means only during certain period of time can this rules being used to make international phone calls, and any intention outside the schedule will be just denied by the system. Because we have mentioned the time condition configuration in our former webinars, so I won't be explaining how you actually set up this time condition here. But this is a thing that we can do to prevent the outbound routes being used to make illegal long distance international phone calls. But okay, our final suggestion will be, if you actually don't need to make long distance international phone calls, you can just turn on this service from a service provider. This way, even though your system get hacked, no long distance international phone calls will be made by our system, because none of your trunks are available for those kind of calls. Okay, the last thing that we will be talking about is Event Center. So all the configurations we have already covered is ways for you to prevent possible hackings. So we have configurations you can do to enhance the security. As we have mentioned, we have we have firewalls, and we have IP auto defense, and then we can secure our outbound routes to make sure that even sometimes it is possible that your system get hacked, but even though it get hacked, no actual loss will be generated by this incident, because we have secure our outbound routes. However, the one last thing what we need to do is to make sure that even if your system get hacked, you can know about it as soon as possible, so you can take action, and you can react to limit the loss to the lowest. So this is what Event Center will work here. Okay, so now here you can see the event center. Okay, so basically a event center is a mechanism where if some incidents, some issues happens to your telephone system, the PBX will will notify the administrator immediately. So if something happens to your telephone system, you as the administrator will know at the first time and take action. Okay, so let's see what should we do here. So in the event center, we have a bunch of things that we already have. So let's see. So the first thing is in the operation is modify administrator and password. So if the administrator password get changed, it is a big issue. And so here you can configure the system so it will be record This operation will be recorded in the log, and a notification will be sent uh, if you uh, if you enable this feature. The way to notify is, well, we can see edit notification here. Here we have a template. So in the subject, everything here is changeable. The template is editable, so you can change the language if it's necessary, or you can change whatever it says. Just make sure that the the variable here get saved, is kept. So the system will actually send you the IP address. Okay. So for example, let's take modify an administrator password as an example. Here you can see that the administrator password get modified, and you can see from which pass IP address does this action get initiated. So if as an administrator you change the password yourself, it's not an issue. It's okay. So here you can just ignore the mail that you received. But if you are not actually doing anything, you receive this mail, then that means somebody is changing the password, and you will be informed by this just immediately. And here we have user login success. Well, user login success is not really a big issue. So in most cases, we just record this issue, but we do not notify it. But if you want to, you can enable the notification. User login failed. This is by default is disabled. But if you want to really take good care of your system, you can just you can just enable this feature. So anytime if a user try to log in but failed, then you will get notified. Okay. Well, there are some other things that we want to be talking about. So here we have network attacked. So if that means if the IP auto defense has detected any possible DOS attack, as we have mentioned in our second lesson, the system will firstly just block this IP address. So any data packages sent by this IP address will be just blocked and refused by the system. We have other things that we can do. Here is may send a notification to the administrator, so the administrator will know immediately that there are possible attack happened in your system, and well, you can just log into the system and check and take reaction if it's necessary. As you can see here, there are so many operations and issues that you can check. Basically, you can enable to record or disable the record, so well, you will see or not see this operation taking place from your log. And we have notifications, so any operations, any issues we have in this event center, once enable the notification, if taken place, the PBX will send a notification to the administrator. And here we can actually add notification contacts. So that means not only the extensions, but not only the administrators, but also the other extensions can also receive this notifications. And also at the same time, you can, as the administrator, you can always add your email or your mobile number into this list. That is to say, if the administrator is not in the office, not in the office, this notification can be sent by email or by the SMS if it is necessary. And here you can choose extension, because in most cases the administrator will also be one of the people, one of the employee in your company, and naturally this guy will also have his own extension. Well, when he manage your system, he will be logging as the administrator, but normally he will have his own extension number, so you can actually assign his extension number here. So here we have, as you can see here, we have email, we have SMS. Though this email and SMS will also be sent to the extension mailbox that assigned by the administrator, and of course the SMS will be the mobile number that you assigned to this extension as well. So here we can choose to call extension and call mobile. That means if the system, if any of those issues happen, and the system will not only send email and SMS, but also will make a phone call to this extension and to the mobile phone that you have assigned to the PBX. If not, if you don't have any mobile number here, you can just click here to set no mobile number on this system. So you can just put in the mobile number here. And here we have prefix. So if the outbound routes require actually a prefix, you can put in the prefix right here. And well, one thing that we need to clarify here is if you choose to use SMS as a way to send out the notification, you have to make sure that you have a working SIM card inserted in your PBX. That is to say, you will need to have a GSM module or a WCDMA module or a LTE module. You will have to at least have one of those three modules installed in the PBX, and you should have a valid SIM card that is working perfectly fine, that can receive and send SMSs inserted in those modules. And well, this way, once you have issues, then the SIM card will send out the SMS, and the mobile phone you have configured here will receive this notification. Okay, that'll be all for all the 3 lessons of Yeastar Certified Security Specialist. Thank you so much for taking part in this training courses. If you are interested, once again, if you're interested in informations about our company and the new products and new features that we will going to have, you can always follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn. Follow us and you will be kept updated. And if you want to know more, and if you want to see more videos like this, or we have other kind of videos about the features, configurations, and firmware upgrade, you can always subscribe us on YouTube channel. You can just search Yeastar and on the YouTube, and you will find us right away. Subscribe us, and you will get our weekly updated videos about everything, about all the functions and features and configurations of Yeastar products. And if you're interested in getting our certification, you can always contact us in academy@yeastar.com, and my colleagues in our training teams will set up a account for you in our online training and exam platform, through which you can just take an online exam at your convenience, and by passing the exam we have online, you will get certified right away. Okay, thank you so much for your participation, and if you you are interested, once again, if you are interested in getting the certification, please contact us, and our team will be helping you right away. Okay, thank you.